Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Diaspora Dialogue series with LA. I am Lillian Agwegbe, your host on this program. I'm excited to welcome you to this podcast in which we have conversations with members of the diaspora. We are trying to change the narrative that we all have the same story because we really don't. We come from different places, with different things in our lives, and we're doing different things in the diaspora. We try to shed light on the beauty of the homeland, the blessings of the new land, and the benefits of integration. Today, I'm excited to welcome my first team participants in this podcast. Today, I'm talking to Mr. Babafemi Okubanjo and his daughter, Eniola Okubanjo. Mr. Babafemi and Eniola, you're both welcome to the Diaspora Dialogue series.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you, Dr. Lillian.
Great. So I'm going to start with you, Mr. Babafemi. I know that you were originally in Nigeria. What were you doing in Nigeria prior to coming to the US?
Actually, I was a civil servant with the Ogun State government. But after some time, when I got to the topmost of my career as a permanent secretary, I decided to change career and I went down to the federal government and they just started the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation. And I decided to join them as a pioneering staff of the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation. It's just like the FDIC in America.
Mm-hmm.
They insure customers deposit in banks. So they just started it in Nigeria at that time, and I was a pioneer staff of that organization, having left my job as a permanent secretary in Ogun State government. So
Wow.
I then moved from Abeokuta to Lagos. And I was in Lagos for about 7 years before I came back down to America.
Wow. So you were in Abeokuta, you did your work, rose up in the ranks, came to Lagos, pioneered a new project, and then you came to America. How did that happen? Is this a long time goal you were pursuing? Was the move to Lagos part of the process of coming abroad, or was that unconnected?
Oh, actually, I would say that it was just by a uh, divine way that it happened. I never thought of coming to America. I never gave it any thought at all. I was not interested. I even did not know that there were programs for Nigerians to come to America. But I was in my office one morning in Lagos, and my brother was just passing by. My late junior brother was passing by. He studied in America, but came back to Nigeria. And
Okay.
he just called on me that morning
Mm-hmm.
and he told me, "Oh, brother, aren't you interested in going to America? There's a program for Nigerians who can obtain visas and go back to America and go to America." I was surprised. I said, "Is there anything like that?" I wasn't interested, but he gave me the form right there in the morning. But surprisingly, I filled out the form right there and went to the Marina post office to post it.
Wow.
And that was all I did before he left. And I forgot about it. That was it. I forgot about it. I even didn't remember to tell my wife when I got home.
Hmm. And then and a couple of weeks later, or a couple of months later, when did you
Yeah,
do
a
that?
couple of months later, a letter came because my wife was the one who won the visa because I filled the form for myself and I filled
Mm-hmm.
one for my wife. But she
Mm-hmm.
was the one who won the visa. And a letter came to the house in Norman Williams where we stayed in Ikoyi.
Mm-hmm.
And the letter was dropped in front of the house. My daughter Eniola, when she came out of the house, she saw the letter lying down somewhere there, and she took it home and gave it to my wife. My wife opened the letter, and then she said, the letter said, "Congratulations, you have won the visa to
Wow.
America." And she was wondering, "Oh, what's this all about?" I didn't do anything. She didn't understand it at all. So by the time I came back from work, she came and showed me the letter. I said, "See what I saw today." I took the
Hmm.
letter from her and I looked at it. And I said, "Oh, so this is true?"
Wow.
And she said, "So you did it?" And I said, "Yes, it's true. I did it." That was how we got the information that we won the visa. And from there, I said, "Okay, it's a good thing. We will try it." And unfortunately, and somehow, the environment at that time made me now to change, to start having interest in going to America, because the political situation in America, in Nigeria, was getting worse.
Wow.
There was this military government,
Uh-huh.
and every evening when I tune up the television, it's all
Uh-huh.
about military something doing something, somebody harassing
Uh-huh.
somebody, and I was getting fed up with it.
Wow. So things just sort of worked out for you at the time where you were thinking that what am I
Yeah,
doing with this military situation? You
that's
had
right.
this almost like platter of gold. So it wasn't so much of a big struggle for you to decide whether you wanted to take the advantage of the opportunity or not.
Yeah, that is very true. It was
Uh,
Abacha who was in the government at that time.
yeah, I
The
remember
news was
this.
about Abacha every night, and I said,
Uh-huh.
"What's all this?" Okay,
Hmm.
well, I could as well try another country.
I know. And your last good thing, I heard your voice there. So you were the one who picked who found the letter and came and your dad said,
Yes.
all going. So you had the good fortune of you all to come together as a family. What was that for you? How did you think about leaving your family, your friends,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah.
Wow. I was very young. I think I was maybe my early teens, and I still remember clearly when I found that letter because I just got out the house and I was randomly doing something outside, not really paying attention. And
Mhm.
Dr. Lene, if I should tell you that the letter wasn't in like official envelope or anything like that. It was like a slip and it
Mhm.
was barely hanging in between the bars of the gate.
Oh
And
wow.
Lagos, how
Mhm.
there are gutters everywhere.
Uh-huh.
And it really looked like a piece of trash, really. Like it could have easily just fallen into, the
Wow.
gutter or something. So I was just curious as to what was this thing hanging in the gate. And it just looked interesting enough. And I just took
Mhm.
it inside and handed it over to my mom because it was addressed to her. And
Mhm.
yeah, and she was reading it and was like, "Ah, what's this?" And I remember we all kind of gathered around her. I think
Mhm.
she was asking if it was a scam or something because she just didn't
Yes,
believe
yes.
it to be true,
Hmm.
and eventually we found that it was true, it wasn't a scam. So thank
Wow.
thank God for that.
So now you've moved to America, Mr. Okubanjo. You have
Yeah.
been at the pinnacle of your career in Ogun State, in Lagos, and you come to America. Did America live up to your expectations, or did you not have any expectations when you were coming?
Yeah, actually, when I was coming, my plan was to work at the World Bank.
Okay.
Yeah, but it became a little bit difficult for me getting a job there, and that was it. I first settled in DC, Washington DC. That was my first place
Okay.
of settle. I settled there. Then when I found that it was a bit difficult, then I said, okay, I just have to do whatever I have to do here,
Mm.
and that was why I now first started working in an hotel
Mm-hmm.
in DC, and then from there I then moved on to work as a substitute teacher in the public schools.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So you had the opportunity to and how long ago was this, by the way?
I came here in 1996.
1996. Yes.
Yeah, actually, before I came here, my wife had come here a year before me.
Okay.
Yes, and I said, just go, and I will sort myself out, and we will all join you later. So she was
Oh,
here 1 year before us,
okay.
and then she was at the same time she has been planning to work with the United Nations too.
Okay.
And when she got here, she then got in touch with the United Nations, and then they finalized her appointment for her.
Okay.
And then they said, okay, we only have a vacancy in Zimbabwe. And they said, okay, she had to go to Harare and start
Mm-hmm.
work with the United Nations Zimbabwe, and then that was it. Then when the children came here before me to join her, and they lived with her in New York for a while, and they were all working. She was working in the United Nations in New York,
Okay.
but she left for Zimbabwe and took the children with her to Zimbabwe.
Mm.
So I went. So by coming to America, I first had to go to Zimbabwe, Harare, to meet them and stay with them for a while after I left Lagos,
Mm-hmm.
coming downstate to America. Then I came back to America before again to settle down for them to join me again in America here.
Wow, that's interesting. So how did you find your teaching in the public schools? Let's talk now about, the blessings of the new land, right?
Yeah.
Things were getting a little bit tricky in Nigeria, and you had this opportunity to come. What would you say were the blessings of this new land? What makes you think and say, I'm glad this happened?
Yeah. Now, well, I will not say there was much I admired after some time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, I was happy that I left that environment.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was seeing some differences in the way people obey the rules here.
Yeah.
That people are so orderly, and they take they try to obey the rules, which
Mm-hmm.
was not the same thing in Nigeria. People
Yeah.
were so disorderly, and there was a sense of impunity there.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the first major thing I found out. But there are so many differences that did not make me think that there was there's much here to
Mm-hmm.
really talk about as so good. Yeah, they have their own cultures here, but at the same time, um, I think it is over idealized as far as I'm concerned.
Over idealized. I will come to, maybe the over idealized will put in context some of the things you miss in Nigeria. Eniola, for you, what has been the uh thing that you consider a blessing that you're glad that this worked out for your parents and you were able to come here in your teenage years?
Wow. I would definitely say the opportunity, just to, because truly this land is when you think about the opportunities here, there are no limits. There are no limits. Just like my dad, I never dreamed of coming to America. Of course, in high school, early high school Nigeria, you talk about, the States, and you watch movies and you look at videos and you just wonder how life would be. But it never really dawned on me that I would actually live in America. It wasn't like a desire, like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to move to America. I don't know if we had stayed longer in Nigeria, maybe that I would have had that desire, but I never had that desire. But then I guess then there was a spark when we discovered that we were coming. So definitely benefits will be, there's so endless opportunities. You can really you can really advance and excel in this country because there's just so many opportunities. So that's a big plus for me. Yeah.
Wow, yes, the opportunity, it's the land of opportunities. You can
Yes.
do anything and almost anything that you put your heart to. Let's look now. We've looked at the blessings of the new land. So looking at the opportunities. But Mr. Okubanjo, let's go and look at the beauty of the homeland. Like, do you miss Nigeria? What do you miss about Nigeria? You talked about, the cultural excesses here. Does that play a factor in what you miss, about Nigeria that you wish, you could see here as well?
Yeah, just a point before you answer that question. I
Yeah.
want to say one more thing.
Okay.
The opportunity to get good education was one of the things I liked about America.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I just saw it as an opportunity for my children to go to school here, and the schools are good and things like that. And especially when they had to move to Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe was a British colony, and they had very good schools over there.
Okay.
And they always talk about it. In fact, my cousin always said, "Oh, it's a good thing that you didn't let your children stay in America and they took them to Zimbabwe. That Zimbabwe schools are like British schools. British schools. So just by the way. Now, the opportunities here are good, education-wise, and some other things. But like I said, the culture is a bit different. I think for a fairly elderly man, it may be a bit frustrating to live here. Because
how so?
Yeah, when I was in Nigeria, especially, because I had a good job.
Yeah.
So people are usually asking me, what are you going to do in America? What are you doing? They try to discourage me from coming because I was okay, very much okay too, because I reached the highest career goal in my civil service, and at the same time, as a pioneer director in the NDIC, we had all the opportunities there. We related very well, and in Nigeria, there is this culture of so much respect for elders.
Yes.
And so much respect for people who are in high places. When you are where you call them Oga.
Yeah.
Although I didn't very much fancy that. I just a different person. I just treated everybody fairly equally, fairly well. When I was in my position, I did. But again, there were so many things. You had as a senior person, you had also the prerequisites. For instance, there was a time I had about 3 cars.
I know that feeling.
You had 3 cars, but when I got here, initially I had no car. Going in buses.
I know.
Trains. I know. So I miss all those things initially. Yeah. But again, you just have to adapt and try to adapt to your environment. Although before then, I had visited America 2 times. Before I came permanently.
Yes.
I've been here for meetings before.
Yes.
2 times. And then we were in Washington DC. I really enjoyed it because at those meetings, Americans they paid us a lot of attention. They took us to so many places, and they were trying to impress us at that time. But now, when you have your own, you're on your own, just have to find your way out.
When you have moved here and you're now on your own, nobody's giving you so much attention. But I mean, what you said about respect for, the elderly and for position is so true. I always get very tickled when I call to speak to my younger brothers. This is my immediate younger brother now. He's a grown-up man with his own son, who's like 18. But they still say yes, ma, to me. I get so tickled, because
there's so much respect for the elderly. Yeah.
These are grown men, married men, and they still, think nothing about saying yes, ma, to me, and then people here that are way younger than them, they just throw your name around. But again, that's the culture. That's the culture here. That's interesting. And Yola, for you, what? I know you did say that you left in your early teenage years, but you might remember some things in Nigeria that you miss, and you kind of like, oh, if we could bring this thing here, please, I wouldn't mind at all.
Oh wow, I'm literally having flashbacks. Yeah, came came early teens, and I remember we were sort of thrust in the public school system, New York, Brooklyn, and it was very much of a culture shock. I remember there was one incident that a teacher was talking to a student, and the student was talking back, at the teacher. And this is me just looking like, hey, because naturally, where I was coming from, you would stand up even when teacher looked at you, So it was so much of a shock, the talking back to me, and the it dawned on me to how, they were not very knowledgeable about Africa. Questions like, do you people sleep on trees? Your English is so good. Things like that were a shock to me that, so those are one of the culture shocks. But what I missed most, I guess, was the respect. I didn't really miss the beating from the beatings from the teacher from the teachers in Nigeria. I did not miss that. But it was the respect that I think I missed, that you be talking back to an adult like that, So those are one of the things I remember that was quite shocking to me.
Well, yeah, you didn't miss the beatings, as nobody misses the beatings. But hey, respect. I know what you mean. I also, when I came, I was in New York, and I remember going to school and being on the subway and seeing students. I didn't see them in school, but I saw them on the subway behaving very poorly.
Wow.
And the subway were full of people coming back from work who looked tired. They'd had a long day. And I was waiting, and you know how it is, in Nigeria, everybody's kind of in everybody's business.
Yes,
Yeah?
yes.
So I was like, somebody's going to tell them, even though I could tell them, the one with their parents, but it didn't matter in Nigeria. I'm like, somebody's going to put these children in their place. Nobody said anything.
Wow.
The entire ride, nobody, I'm like, somebody's going to say something to these children, but nobody said anything to them.
Wow.
Yes. So that's interesting. I understand what you're saying about, talking back to that being a culture shock. And I do appreciate not missing the beatings. Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness.
At all.
Simply was interesting point. So, Mr. Okubanjo, had the children grown up so that you didn't have to change your discipline style, or was that something you had to experience in the way you raised the children when you came?
You mean in the schools here?
You raising your children here when you came, did you
No.
have to change some of your tactics from what you used to do in Nigeria?
No. I think they adjust themselves. I remember that when I came, because when I came initially to visit them here in New York,
yes,
I took them to schools and settled them down, and then again I went back. And when I came back, they told me some stories of what happened to them. My youngest daughter, Tumilola, said one day when the first time she came to school, because I think it was in middle school at that time.
yes.
And the teacher asked her a question, and she stood up to answer. The teacher was shocked. And the teacher was telling all the other people, look at how cultural these people are, respectful these people are. Because that was how I brought them up. In Nigeria, it's not even only you that brings up your children.
Yes.
Your parents, your cousins, the community effort, because so they're so much different in their respect and in the way they act to you. So I just told them, just be yourselves the way you are, and I'm so proud of you that you receive so much culture from us. You are so respectful, and like I said, I can't even ever remember I ever beat any of them. I never beat them, even to go, because they told me that when I'm annoyed and they look at my face, they know. They take the cue right away.
It takes the cue. That's what the
Yeah.
Yoruba people call ojuto sorrow. The eyes speak. Yes.
So they be brought up that way, and I'm happy that they did not miss with culture here. They tried to be what they have been brought up, how they have been brought up, and I thank God for that.
Awesome. In terms of school engagement, did you have to change some? Because when I think about growing up in Nigeria and I'm thinking about my dad as a civil servant, all he did was provide the card to take us to school. I don't think my father went to any meeting in school or anything. Did you find yourself receiving invitations? You had to go to PTO or parent teacher? How was that experience for you?
In Nigeria, sorry.
In here, when you came here.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I ever attended any PT. Yeah. I can't even remember having done that.
I think my mom was the one that attended those meetings. She was, she was mostly.
And was that something, was that something that she had been doing because in Nigeria, you sort of have people who do these things. But
Yes.
then you come here and then you find out that, you have to do those things yourself.
No, in Nigeria, no, I don't remember her doing doing any of that. I think the only thing she came to do, just with my other siblings, was maybe if a teacher disrespected, my siblings. I remember there was one incident in Nigeria that a teacher, my older brother, she did something to him or twisted his ear or did something that just caused pain, or I think he ended up going to the doctor. So my mom just went the next day to threaten the teacher, like if you touch my son again. So she would go to school to threaten the teacher or something like that in Nigeria. But that was it. It wasn't like the Parents Teachers Association
and all of those things. But
America was all she would maybe attend a meeting.
Yes, you have to attend these things. Let's look. We've looked at the beauty of the homeland, the blessing of the new land. Let's talk now about the benefits of integration. Um, is the world a better place? Some people are like, oh, you have stayed where you are. Isn't the world a better place? Or what's your take on the benefits for society as a whole? That you've come here with your experience, with your exposure, you're here in this society now and you're contributing to this society. What do you think about that opportunity to make a difference globally? Yes, for a global level.
Yeah, I know that I have a feeling that in the future there'll be more of global citizens as such. That's what people are saying. But I think that it's still a long way to go because the cultures are really, really, very different. And some people make some efforts to integrate themselves, and some don't care. Because some people don't even think of you as generally that your culture is lower than theirs. They don't know that Nigerians and Africans in general have deep, deep cultures that even surpasses them the ones they meet here. But I'm happy now that the more educated ones are trying to learn some of the cultures from Africa and Nigeria in particular, and they know that there's a lot to learn, and integration has to be both ways. So I think integration is going to be gradual, but it's going to be a long way from now.
Awesome. Is there anything like going back? Sometimes we hear people like, oh yeah, we're just here for a fee. I'm going to retire home. Is there any sort of thing like retiring home for you? If so, yes. If not, why? Whatever your answer is, why do you feel that way?
Well, the idea is to go back, but again, you have to be very careful about it. It has to be well planned, so that you don't even go back to the worst situation that you left. So that's why most of the time you are reading the news every day. There's no day I don't read news about Nigeria, and sometimes I'm not too happy about what is going on there. Especially the politicians, the way they are behaving and the things they're doing, especially security. That's so frightening. The things you hear that is going on, that you can't even move from one city to the other without fearing that you're going to be kidnapped or something like that.
I know.
Yeah. So when you think about that, and you hear about so many horrible things that are happening to people over there, you just wonder, okay, why don't I just stay here? And then have my peace of mind. Your neighborhood is quiet. There's so much. When there's a little problem in the neighborhood and they report to the police respond in good time. And they come and take care of whatever is going on. And like I said, the first law enforcement in America is very good. At least, yeah, whatever time God gives you to spend on this earth.
Yeah.
You want to spend it in a very good manner, you know. So retiring back home is really going to be like, let me think about it carefully so I don't get in trouble again.
So it's not a done deal. It's not.
It is not a done deal at all.
Yes, it's not a done deal. Awesome. That's good to know. And Yola, what about you? Do you have any? I know you came here like young, but it still doesn't matter. Are you thinking that, after a certain time,
Yeah.
I'm just going to go back for any reason, or you're just going to make this work being here?
That's a very good question. I've thought about it, and I know people my age, that actually, moving to Nigeria,
Mm,
and I love Nigeria, but I don't actually, unless there's some kind of, it's like a opportunity that you're like, okay,
mm-hmm,
this is from God, that it would
mm-hmm.
be crazy not to move, or
Yeah.
or or pretty
Mm-hmm,
much God says, it's okay,
mm-hmm.
go. And I think that would be the reason why I would ever move back. But just, like my father said, I don't see that happening for me, like retiring. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
it's sad to say, in Nigeria, maybe another country,
Mm-hmm. Maybe
but
another country.
I've considered other countries actually, and as far as
Uh-huh.
retirement, but not Nigeria.
Well, not
Sad to
Nigeria.
say, yeah.
Great. But is Nigeria out of sight and out of mind, or do you still stay connected? How do you stay connected with Nigerians in Nigeria and with Nigerians here?
Okay. Well, the great thing about the state of Maryland, is that there's a huge Nigerian population here. So
Mm-hmm.
that works. And we have a lot of relatives here also, New York, New Jersey, in the diaspora, UK, and other states in the United States. Mostly from my father's side, we have
Mm-hmm.
tons of cousins, that we still communicate with. And well, as far as in the US and also in Nigeria, we still have family very much in Nigeria. And my dad, I have to acknowledge his skill and his ability. He can, he's the one that really connects with everybody mostly. Like,
Hmm.
Uncle so and so, auntie so and so,
Mm-hmm.
this your uncle Guinea from this side of the, so he's so he's really the one that, holds all of that together for us. So I'm grateful to God for that. So that's how we, stay connected to our
That
family.
is so remarkable, and it does remind me of my dad actually, because when I was in uni, like my dad would drive me to school and drive me back, and then he would start to tell me about it, and this cousin. I'm like, Dad, I don't know these people. But it didn't stop him. He would tell me this cousin, and then this happened and everything. And then like I don't know this. So Mr. Okubanjo, tell us, you're
Yeah,
able to keep the family together. And I know
yeah,
you said a little bit about staying connected. How do you stay connected with Nigeria now?
yeah.
You rose to the top of the ranks in your profession. Do you have opportunity to contribute to what's going on in Nigeria one way or the other in terms of thinking, in terms of systems? What do you think?
Yeah, actually, with regards to my family in Nigeria, we are closely connected, very close.
Mm,
Because despite the fact that my family is very large, all over the place, in Nigeria, we make sure that we come home
wow,
once in a while. When I was in Nigeria, we have an annual party in
wow,
December back to our grandfather's house.
awesome,
We always, that's done every year.
wow,
Yeah. And during the interval, we have a website where we communicate
wow,
with each other all the time, virtually on daily basis.
wow.
We remember each other's birthdays. When
Mm-hmm,
somebody's having a wedding, when somebody's
mm-hmm.
having something, we congratulate each other, we contribute and give each other something.
Wow.
as gifts. So that is done very, very frequently. So we don't lose touch at all. And like my daughter said, well, all now, I have two other brothers. All their families are also here.
Okay.
Yeah, same parents. They're here. They're,
Mhm.
they're in New Jersey, in Texas. And,
Mhm.
so we also keep in touch with each other here. So, for instance, when we have Thanksgiving, they come
Yeah.
here to my house for Thanksgiving,
Mhm.
and we are in touch. So that's one good thing about it, because my family, we just want to make sure that we're in touch with
Awesome. Great.
each other.
Well, we're coming on time, so I'm just going to throw the floor open to you. And if there's anything that you want to share about the homeland, the new land, the integration that you think will be interesting for our listeners to hear, please you can share it now.
Yeah, I think Nigerians are all over the place, and sometimes when I read about them, I'm also very happy that they're having a very good reputation.
Mm-hmm.
About representing Nigeria very well. Nigerians in America are doing very, very well. They are so doing well. I'm so happy. I'm always very grateful for that. Even Americans, they also know. Even commentators on the TV, they always refer to Nigerians as the best educated people in
Mm-hmm.
America. I know, and so many cultures. And for instance, look at even this present administration. There's a Nigerian has a very top post in the treasury in this administration,
Yes.
which shows that they are being respected and they know the worth of contributions they can make.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy that you guys, like yourself, you are doing very well too. So I'm so happy. I'm glad that they are making the contributions. And like I said, I'm always monitoring what is going on in Nigeria every day.
Mm-hmm.
If you have not read any newspaper of Nigeria every day, it's not a complete day for me. So well, we know that there are some developments. Although there are problems now, I'm always hoping that some of these problems will be resolved over time. You know,
Okay.
I'm always praying that the youth will take over and they know that they have a future in the country. So although we are a bit old now, we are not
Mm-hmm.
writing off the country at all. We have a very good high hope for the country. And I
Mm-hmm.
pray that my grandchildren, I'm trying to let them know that there's a space for them in the country.
Awesome. That's so good. That's so good. Any last thoughts, last words about being here, coming from home, and you know
Mhm.
all of it?
Oh, wow. Going to try and summarize it the best that I can. Thinking about it now, and thank you so much again, Dr. Lillian, for this opportunity because what this has done has just, I've gone down a memory bank and it's almost
Mm-hmm.
like a reawakening of dreams, happening
Mm-hmm.
right now, even just talking to you. I don't regret coming here. I believe it was, or coming to the States, I mean, it was definitely God ordained,
Mm-hmm.
finding a slip that could easily have just fallen into the
I
gutters or something,
know, right?
so that was just God. I am proudly Nigerian,
Mm-hmm.
Nigerian American or Nigerian, you know um just repeating what my dad said. Nigerians are brilliant. Nigerians are God-fearing. They're
Mm-hmm.
intelligent. They are um amazing. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of bad rep that goes with being a Nigerian.
Yeah.
We have some of, if not some of the greatest minds in the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm grateful to God for that. I'm hopeful that God is not done and will never be done with Nigeria. you know
Amen.
there's a restoration that is happening, and
Mm-hmm.
soon I hopefully pray that it will be a land that people will want to go and visit, and not be fearful of. And yeah, just so grateful. Thank God.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Okubanjo. Thank you, Eniola. Listeners, it's been a pleasure talking to my first team conversation. Talking to Babafemi Okubanjo and his daughter Eniola Okubanjo, and had a very interesting conversation and learning from, coming to the US, having to deal, or having to be exposed to, how people obey rules compared to how people break rules with impunity in Nigeria. But really looking also at the cultural excesses here in the US, which is like, hey, what's the respect for the elderly? You don't quite see that. But really just dealing with the fact that this is a land of opportunity, and Nigerians have done very well for themselves, despite the bad raps that we get. As Mr. Okubanjo himself acknowledged, you have all our commentators talking about the most educated immigrant group, at the Nigerians. But really, the question about retiring and going back home still on the fence, because we still have some things we have to do, especially with regards to security and safety in Nigeria. But hoping to get there one day and staying connected. But I really like the idea of having this family website, and the annual family reunion is something that a lot of families to do, especially if you are big, to stay connected and stay in touch with everybody. Viewers, this is Diaspora Dialogue series with LA. I will come your way another time with another interesting guest and another interesting conversation. Until I come your way again, thank you for listening. My name is Lillian Agwegbe. Bye. Bye, Kumbajos.
Bye, Dr. Lillian.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you so much for talking to us. We enjoyed your conversations. Thank you.
Thank you.